All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is March 17th, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Rough day for me today. Lost 200 on a 50K account. Only using 5,000, 10% of my account. Let's take a peek at the market, see what it's doing. Just didn't have a run anywhere. Just kind of flatline. You can see the overnight crowd right here got most all of the action. You can see that 10-minute uptrend for the overnight crowd and pre-market crowd and everybody else. They got all of pretty much all the action this morning. So let's take a peek at that. I'll circle that action for you. And so right from here, well, take that off. All of that right there is what the pre-market crowd got. We were only left with just a little bit up here. There's a small circle. They left us some crumbs right there. That's all that I was able to get. Now, if you were here this morning, I posted in the room this plaque right here, which is, yep, that's it right there. So I plan to trade a continuation of the SPY 10-minute uptrend to target 1, 673.40. And target 2, which was 675. We got up to 674.50. That's how high we got. And I'll move this over. And you can see right out of the gate, they just ripped it right there. Green erases red. You got red pullback. They ripped it right over here was your buy. And you were able to get in close to 672.86. So you got a $1.50 move up to here. By then, the options probably way overpriced at that time. And up here, and just sell into that strength up there. So, and then from there, they never bounced back up there. They got a lower high. With the lower high, they made a lower low underneath VWAP. They double bottomed here on the 3-day anchored VWAP right here. They got on top and consolidated. I kind of wanted this consolidation yesterday, all right? Kind of a little late. Did not want them consolidating under VWAP. I wanted them over VWAP. Yeah, well, they're over anchored VWAP, but not over VWAP, so it just wound up being a crap day for me. That's what happened for me. I did buy some Tesla calls. One call. I bid for another one. Still bidding for it. You can see right here. Still not filled. I'm looking at this price action that I see here. Up, back, kind of consolidating, winding up tight. With a wedge to the upside right here. So here's our wedge to the upside. Right. Come on, you can do it. And it doesn't want to work right now. So the drawing tools work for 10 seconds, and then they crapped out on me. Nice. All right, so here's our wedge to the upside. All right, so I'm looking for, let me just start this again. I don't know why they crap out on me. Not liking this at all. Let's try it again. Okay, wedge to the upside. So Tesla calls. Looking for 408.73 up there. Okay, try it again. And there we go. All right, now they're working. So got a wedge to the upside. You can see the flat line. So here's our wedge. Looking for price to pop and run right through up here. okay, all the way up to 408. So let me take those off and drag this down. So I'm looking for this area right here, right in there. There's 407, 408 area, right in there. That's where I hope to get. We got to get over this peak right here. Of course, our options should be in the money by then. All right, once we get up over that peak, that's 403, and I'm looking for 408, 407 area for my Tesla options. You can see the wedge up, so I'm looking for a move up to that area right there. I got my QQQ puts still on. I've got 3 puts on the 605 strike, and I've got 2 6 out of the money puts because we're bullish, short down here. So we'll see what happens with that. We got consolidation or price action over prior price action. That's a bullish environment. You can see in the pre-market, post-market, we got consolidation, okay, over prior consolidation. So I'm looking for another wave higher, and I like to see them fill this gap up here. We'll see what happens. All right. So big gap up again by the bulls. You can see right here, this was yesterday's close, and we gapped up, and the bears tried to fill the gap. They had everything going for them because they were underneath VWAP, and they couldn't get past this support right through here. So we'll see if they're going to make their way up. I'm seeing a wedge right here on the way down. We'll see. Move this out of the way. Okay, so I'm seeing a wedge starting to structure right there. So we'll see what happens if this consolidation can break out with a W pattern up that way. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, so there's some QQQ. So let's go back and look at SPY. Well, let's look at one other thing. Let's take a look at I got the arbitrage trade on. We can look at the arbitrage trade. There's the ZIM arbitrage trade. And you can see the buyout is $35. Okay. And we bought calls. Now, if this call goes up to it's a 24.16 strike. So if it goes up to 35, well, if price gets up to $35, speculating, no guarantees, that this call should probably be worth close to $10 and 84 cents. Should be. All right, maybe even more if it gets there sooner than later. I don't know. We'll see. But the purchase price was $508. So whatever $10.84 minus the 508, that would give us a 100% capture in gains if we get there, when we get there. Okay, right now we're in a 10-minute uptrend right there. And I'm trying to get some puts sold so I can lock that in. There's no guarantee. Remember, this is not guaranteed. The shareholders still have to vote on it. So we'll see what happens. All right. So that is the arbitrage account, and currently it's started out with 50K, and we're at 47,750 right now. So I'm trying to pick off the lows of the option, see if I can get filled. I don't know if I will get filled, but trying to get pick off the lows as price comes down. Now it's started to curl back up, so we'll see what happens here. Maybe this will move back up to 30, and if it does, I'm sure these options will be worth way more than 508. They'll probably be worth closer to $6, $7, being since the strike is 24.16. So that's our arbitrage account right now. All right, still I left room for us to pick off more of the lows in case they should want to dip. I want to capture more at a lower price if possible. So back to the other account, and we will push this over, slide this down, turn the trading off, and look at the SPY. Okay, let's take a look at SPY. So here's SPY. You got a wedge just like QQQ right here. So here's SPY. Again, a lot of that price action was overnight, just like it was the day before. Okay, it's very nice, generous of of our market makers to give all of the price movement to the Asian market and the European market. It's just wonderful. Why not keep it here at home? Let them make all the profits. I don't get it, but it's what it is. All right, so there's SPY. All right, on a 10-minute chart. Okay, you can see we're up, over, holding the higher ground, consolidation over prior consolidation. That's should be bullish, but I seem to be looking at this wedge. Yesterday was inverse head and shoulders. Today I'm looking at a bearish wedge coming into tomorrow or coming into the close. On the 10-minute chart, okay, it's more of consolidation than it is a downtrend, but you can see the sticks and the 3 are plotting or mapping out underneath the falling 8 EMA right here. So 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Had a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close yesterday. 10-minute downtrend coming into the close today. Noticing that the 3-day anchored VWAP is holding. There's not any candle printing below here. We got some tails, but nothing closing below the 3-day anchored VWAP. We'll see. All right, we still got this is our overhead downtrend line. I'll crank it up. You can take a peek at that, and I'll zip out to the 2-hour chart so you can see it. So there's our downtrend line right there. Now I kind of thought we would get up there and at least tag it today, but you can see we got a big, nice igniting candle with absolutely no follow through. All right, so there's a curse word in there, but I left it out. Okay, so with no follow through. Okay, I know you heard it. All right, but complete disappointment for me. Okay, so there's SPY on the 2-hour. Okay, got the on the 2-hour we got the sticks and the 3, which is the yellow, thin yellow line, plotting up over the 8 EMA. Okay, so that is a uptrend. Still got some more daylight. Actually, we got more daylight than we had yesterday. We had very little daylight in this uptrend. Got much more daylight in this uptrend right here on the 2-hour. Had a 10-minute downtrend yesterday. 10-minute downtrend again today, but much more daylight in the 2-hour. Will that give us a bigger move up tomorrow? We'll see. All right, we'll see. There's the 2-hour. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Okay, on the daily chart we have yesterday was an inside day. Well, today is an outside day. Higher high, lower low, and we closed inside the bearish trap, but still under the downtrend line. Under the falling 17, under the all-time, that's the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP. And I'm going to zoom out, okay, so you can see this is April. This is the origin of a rally. We're up, and we're over to the right, kind of, you've heard of the rounded bottom. Well, this is kind of a rounded top. This is kind of like a hamburger bun up there. All right, so this is SPY on the daily. We're still bullish, because we're still in the upper third of the move up here. Still in the upper third, so we're still bullish. But currently, we're in a downtrend because we keep making lower highs right here. And you can see a low, we made a lower low. So we're in a downtrend still. So there's SPY on the daily chart. On the weekly chart, Okay, you can see all of the green dots. We still have not made a lower low. This will be the low to beat right down here, about 650 or so. Okay, so we still haven't made a lower low. We are below the 17, but we haven't made a lower low. So there's SPY on the weekly. This is still an uptrend. We're still in the upper third, so we're still bullish and in an uptrend on the bigger time frames. So there's the weekly, bullish and in an uptrend on the weekly. And on the monthly, of course, see all the green dots. Here's the origin of the April rally right here. Goes up and over to the right, still bullish on the monthly chart. So on the bigger time frames, we're still bullish. On some of the smaller time frames, we're not. Well, at least on the daily, we're not. But on the 2 hour, we are bullish. 10-minute, we're not. So we got kind of a full circle going on. So there's SPY on the week monthly chart. All right. So again, if you traded the plan this morning, which was right here, I plan to trade a continuation of the SPY 10-minute uptrend straight to, that's not it. It's this one right there up to 673.40 and then target to 675. So if you were taking profit in the string this morning, right up there into 674.50, 674.40, all right, taking profit in the string, you could have captured some gains. So right here, you can see on the 10-minute chart, it ripped right up. This was posted at 9, so here was your opportunity with a red erases, green erases red. See the red candle? Green erases it. You couldn't have got the option, but you could have traded the shares, okay? Of course, you're not going to get as many shares as you will with options. You'll get much more exposure with the options, but here we are right here. Traded right there, 670.93, clear up to 673.40, which was right here. Well, right about there, right there, 673.40. So you could have made some money right there on that posting right there, and in price action all the way up there to 674.50, and that was profit taking. So that's it. Then from there, it started a downtrend, pull back to VWAP, and then another shallow downtrend right there. So pull back, never got a bounce. We got a bounce. It was a weak bounce, and they never actually broke a rubber band candle to the top side. So crap day, but we did consolidate over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. We'll see. That is a bullish environment, but I'm also looking at a bearish wedge. So flip a coin tomorrow. Can't tell you what's going to happen until I see post-market, pre-market tonight. We'll see what happens. Again, I would have thought we would have run up here and at least spiked, with a big wick running through this downtrend line. I guess you're not ready to do it yet. Okay, so on the daily chart, you can see, again, we're in a downtrend. All right, but we're still bullish because we're in the upper thirds. Take a look at QQQ. QQQ candle today. Let's start on the 10-minute with QQQ. QQQ got a 10-minute, I'm just going to call it consolidation. As you can see, it goes over, and then it goes under, and then it goes back up over near the close. Oh, see, now they want to rally in the post-market after all the options expire. Nice. Kind of figured that. But here we are, price action. Again, you got the green erases red entry right there. All right, clear up to this 605.85 area. And then you can see price action did the same thing as SPY, pull back to VWAP. QQQ held together a little bit better than SPY. Actually, they've got not quite a bearish wedge, but they've got more of a pennant, all right, which kind of feels like, bull flag right there. So we got a pennant going on QQQ, whereas SPY got a bearish wedge. I'm just pointing that out. Again, I still think tomorrow's going to be a coin flip. Again, we'll know more once we see overnight price action and morning price action to see what's going on. So there's 10-minute uptrend right up there to the peak, and then roll over. You can see The downtrend didn't go far. All right, there's the rubber band candle. No, there's the spike candle right there. And there's the big curse word rubber band candle right there. So it didn't even get past the bearish. Notice no candles closed underneath this candle right here. So again, no trade. It was just kind of a sit on your hands day. If you were playing rubber band candles, here's the 10-minute uptrend. There's the spike candle. There's the rubber band candle. Nothing trades up here. Here's the spike candle on the downside. Here's the rubber band candle. No candles closed down here. So there would be no trade if you're trading rubber band candles on the 10-minute chart for QQQ. So absolutely no trade at all because nothing triggered in right there. Nothing really triggered in. So there's QQQ, 10-minute. I'm just going to call it panic consolidation. I'm not going to give them an uptrend or a downtrend. I'm just going to call it panic consolidation. And I'm sure SPY is probably, wedge consolidation. Let's take a look at the 2-hour. On the 2-hour chart, you can see the sticks, all right, and the 3 are plotting, all right, are mapping out up over the ADMA. So you can see a lot more daylight today than you could yesterday. This was yesterday's 2-hour daylight. This is today's. Notice it's getting wider. I'm hoping for even wider tomorrow. Maybe we can get some of that price movement tomorrow, being since market makers wouldn't give it to us yesterday or today. Dirty rats. But anyways, here we are. 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Daily candle still wiggling around here. Outside day, it's a higher high and a lower low. We closed over a bearish trap, but under the falling 17 there. Okay, so we still haven't made a lower low. All right, so ever since this inked out by a couple pennies, a higher high, this wick right there. So it's in one of those dysfunctional uptrends in that price doesn't move up. It actually moves to the right or melts lower. So it's a dysfunctional uptrend. That's what I call it. Okay, so we're under see the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're under the uptrend line, and we got that dysfunctional uptrend because we're not making higher highs. We're not moving up. We're just moving down or over to the right. So dysfunctional uptrend. We are still in the upper third. All right, so that's bullish. All right, again, rightly so. Weekly and monthly still bullish right there. So on the weekly time frame, you can see we haven't made a lower low, so we're still bullish and in an uptrend. You can see here's the April origin of our rally, goes up and over to the right. Okay, if I go back to the daily chart and zoom way out, here's the origin of our rally, April, up and over to the right. It's the same thing, just more candles. Because it's a daily chart instead of a weekly. Monthly chart, still lots of green dots up and over to the right. So still bullish and in an uptrend on weekly and monthly, just like SPY. So there's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow on the daily, see how they did, how they fared for the day. So try it again. Okay, so here's Diamond Dow, outside day, just like the other two. All right, it's a higher high and a lower low. We closed in upside a bearish trap, closed under the falling 17. We closed under the pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're still, here's the origin of our rally, April. We're still in the upper third, so we're bullish. All right, but you can see obviously with the lower high, because that's the all-time high, that's a lower high, and the lower lows. See the lower in here, we got lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. So Diamond Dow, bullish, but in a downtrend right now. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM is, another outside day, higher high, lower low, closing inside the bearish trap under the falling 17 EMA. That's these red dots. Okay, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's a pink line. And you can see clearly all-time high, lower high, low, lower low. So we're in a downtrend on IWM daily chart. but we're still, I'm going to zoom out. You can see April, origin of our rally up. We're still in the upper third, so we're still bullish, but obviously in a downtrend currently. Okay, that's IWM. Let's take a look at Stinker. All right, this is FNGU. Let me just take this off, see what happens. Let's take this off, see what happens. All right, so here's Stinker. Today's candle, outside day. I guess everybody put an outside day in. Increased volatility when I see that. Higher, high, lower, low. We closed inside a bearish trap under the flat 17. This pink line is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so under the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see this is the all-time low for Stinker right here. This is the origin of our move, April rally up. You can see we're under the midpoint. Okay, so if that was the 50-yard line, you could see the bulls would be winning if we were up here, right? And the bears would be winning if we were down here. So you can see we're on the bearish side of the 50-yard line. So we're not in the lower third. That would be below the crosshairs right here. So below the crosshairs would be bearish, and above the crosshairs would be bullish. That would be the upper third up here, lower third down here. So we're neutral because we're not in either one, above or below. So we're just neutral in through here, but definitely on the bearish side of this midfield or the 50-yard line right here. So there's FNGU on the daily chart, neutral, and they still have not made a higher high. And they're in a dysfunctional downtrend in that since you got a high here, you got a low. Okay, so they made a lower low. All right, they made a lower low. Since making that lower low, we've been kind of moving to the right as opposed to moving down, or melting up, moving to the right or melting up as opposed to moving down. So that's that dysfunctional downtrend on the daily chart. So neutral, dysfunctional downtrend right there, but not bullish enough to be bullish. They got to make a higher high. So maybe after this higher low, okay, if they rally up here and produce a higher high, they will convert the downtrend to an uptrend right there. So we'll see what happens. All right, so that's Stinker on the daily chart. Let's take a look at silver and gold. So here's silver, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, and the origin of this rally to this all-time high is back here in 2022. See right here, 2022, up to this all-time high up here. Obviously, we're not in the upper third, okay, because that'd be above the crosshairs. And you can see clearly we're not in the lower third. That would be below this line here. So we are neutral. And you can see a low, a lower high right here. There's a high, got a lower high, and a lower low. So we're in a downtrend, and we're neutral, and in a downtrend on silver. Let's take a look at gold. Okay, gold is, it's going to be tight. We'll see what happens here. High there, 62.80. High here, 62.80. So equal highs. Let's see, low here, 56.87. Low here, 56.90. 56.87. Wow, that came close to putting in an equal day. So they got equal highs and a lower low. Equal highs, lower low on gold. They closed under a bearish trap. They closed under the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. They closed under the flat 17 EMA. That's these green dots that turn to red dots right here when price is underneath it. They're in the middle of quadrant 4, so it's bullish, but still in an uptrend because you got a high, you got a low, made a higher high. All right, so we're still in an uptrend unless they took out and made a lower low here. And it looks like they did. So they're in a downtrend now, okay, because they got a low right here. It's a low underneath the 17. Okay, so this is a lower high, and they produced a lower low. So now in a downtrend, but bullish on gold up here in middle of quadrant 4. Okay, so there's gold. Let's take a look at USO. Okay, USO is consolidating in a bull flag up here. Okay, you can see they did a 4-day consolidation, ripped back up here. Looking for 5-6 day hold, looking for the moving average to catch up to it and boot it in the butt and kick it on up there. You can see price action for today, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17 EMA right there, and closing over the midpoint all the way up here, top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. All right, and you can see clearly it's in an uptrend. They have not made any lower lows. So there's USO. Okay, now I think USO can get up to 180. All right, I'm going to tell you why. Inflation has taken root inside of almost all of our securities. All right, and it's now catching up to our commodities. As you can see, gold and silver making new all-time highs. Do I think USO will make a new all-time high? No. All right. Do I think USO will get up there to 10-year high or 12-year high? Yes, I do. Let's take a look at 3-day chart. So last time they were up here, and I think they can get up to this area right here. All-time high is clearly way up there. I don't really see that coming, but I do see a possible visit right up to the base right here. See this base? Right up to that base. Actually up to, see this valley between two peaks. So this valley low right there, 182.22. Okay, I can see that happening probably, and maybe even some more. We'll see. We haven't gotten there yet, all right? But I do like the bullish consolidation that's going on, all right? Because inflation has taken root in everything else, and energy is the last one to catch on to that inflation. So we'll see, and not to mention the geopolitical concerns. I think there's a possibility one more move up there can get up to 182, 187 area. We'll see what happens. Again, it's pure speculation. Don't quote me on it. All right. So, but I think it's got a possibility to get up there. Consolidating would be nice, and that's what it's doing. All right. And then make a little launch pad, build a little launch pad, and then take it up higher. So that's what we're doing, building another little launch pad to rip higher. So we'll see what happens. UNG is down in quadrant 1. Let me point out UNG. Okay, so here's there's the 12-month high for UNG right here. Okay, so that's about a year ago. 12-month high anchored VWAP is this pink line, not the all-time high, just a 12-month high. Okay, really low bar set here for UNG. This is the all-time low right here. And you can see anytime we get over this 12-month high, clearly she's rejecting us right here. Rejected, 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 and just can't hold that higher ground. So clearly not ready yet. Maybe next year. We'll see. All right. But UNG on the daily chart for today, we're inside day. It's a higher high. It's a higher low and lower high. Closing underneath a bearish cross. Closing underneath 17 EMA. Closing all the way. Here's the quadrant lines. I'll move them over. Okay, so you can see closing down here in quadrant 1. So that's bearish. And I think we're in a dysfunctional uptrend. We haven't made a lower low. All right. We got a high. We made a higher high. So we haven't made a lower low. So we're still in that dysfunctional uptrend, in that after making this higher high, notice we don't move any higher. We only move to the right or melt lower. Okay, so dysfunctional uptrend on UNG, bearish in quadrant 1 right there. Okay, let's take a look at technicals, T2101, and the market rallied higher and participation dipped. That's a bearish sign. Okay, so not liking that at all. All right, but it is what it is. So participation kind of melted off a little bit today as price, excuse me, rallied higher. Don't like it. T2122. Nice move today. Did not expect to see the buy zone, but we went airborne from the sell zone, clear over the seller's chop zone, over the buyer's chop zone, into the buy zone, and from there, looks like the bears threw us out. We made a series of lower highs and lower lows, only to get pushed back down underneath the midpoint and close again in the seller's chop zone. Okay, so there's T2122 showing you clearly bears still hold some, are still swinging a big stick anyways. Okay, that's T2122. Still in control, all right? In that they keep pushing us back into these sell zones, oversold zone, seller's chop zone. Okay, did make a higher high, but got to hold it, all right? And see how we have trouble holding the highs, trouble holding the highs, trouble again holding that higher ground. So I wish the bears would show up, but they're not here. That's T2122, T2123, more melting again today. Again, lower lows, so still in a downtrend. We're underneath the falling 200 SMA. This is the all-time high, and you can see the pullback from the all-time high. We're still bearish. We're down here in quadrant 1. Okay, that's the 15-minute chart. Okay, so but if you were to expand this and include this right here, we're bullish on the bigger picture, but move this over, you can see from the all-time high, we're still melting off right here, still underneath 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bear. If you're a bull, that's not my favorite place to be. So still in a downtrend. There's a low, making lower lows, lower high. You see the low and a lower low. So still in a downtrend on the 15. Still in a downtrend on the 3 bar as well. Okay, this was an all-time high right here. This is the origin of our move. This is the April rally, so pull back to April. From there, we go up and rip and make a new all-time high. Pull back, make a higher low. Rip and make another new all-time high. So all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. You can see price action on the 3 bar chart. We'll zoom in here. So we got a little tail that shoots below here. And from there we made a lower low. So that puts us in a downtrend. You can see lower lows, lower lows. So 3 bar chart also in a downtrend. Okay, still up over the rising 200 SMA. So that's bullish. So if I zoom way out, you can see here's the origin, April. We're still up here in quadrant 4, still bullish, but in a downtrend. We're in the midst of a pullback. Okay, this is the last pullback. You can see it went from there. Actually, looks like it moved 1 full quadrant. All right, so if you take the space here and add it to the price action up here, probably equates to just over 1 full quadrant right there. That was the last pullback, and we're only halfway through this quadrant right here. So still bullish and in an uptrend up over that 200 SMA. T2123 obviously pulling back, not holding the highs any longer. Let's take a look at Stinker on the 15-minute chart. Stinker today, what did you do? You did, well, you got an uptrend. They left off with an uptrend yesterday. Okay, and they made a higher low and a higher high. All right, so the question is, did they make lower lows? No, they did not. So they're still in an uptrend, but still melting to the right and not moving up. Okay, just not moving up. Need them to move up. Okay, melting to the right. This is good so far, but they got to move higher. Okay, they're just not getting it done. Underneath the 200 flat 200 SMA. All right, so that's kind of bearish. I like to be on the bullish side. All right, underneath the pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. So from the pullback lows, we can measure this with the quad lines. Okay, so this is the pullback lows, all right, for UNG from the pullback lows. See how we're not in the upper third? All right, we're still in the neutral zone. All right, I got to stay in that upper third, hold that higher ground, act bullish. So still some choppiness going on in the markets, probably repositioning, too much repositioning going on. And what happens is there's not a lot of bullishness left right now. So neutral and still in an uptrend right there on FNGU. All right. Robert said he bought some stuff today. I'll share with you what he shared with us. He likes the chart on KTOS. I think that's a defense sector. So we're going to go look at that on a daily chart. Yep, it is. All right, so it's in a downtrend. I don't think he doesn't usually play downtrends. So I think he wants this to round off to the upside. So I think he sees this poking up over here, and he's expecting something to come up here. So there's not an uptrend right now. Rounding up to the 100. Okay. Yeah, I can see that happening. Yep. So he's looking at this, probably this 2-hour uptrend right here. See how we got a low, a high, got a higher low. Now we've made a higher high. So got a little 2-hour uptrend happening on KTOS. And he's got a target of the big fat whole round number of 100. So that is looking good. All right, because a little bit of turbulence right here to get through, 97.50, and then you might even get more than 100. You might get clear up to 103.67. We'll see. All right, if that uptrend, if you get to 100 early in the day, you might get more out of it if that day continues to rally. So there's KTOS, 2-hour uptrend. Target is 100, and I like it. And he's got good work on that. Sat there in the market for 5 minutes. Bought some Reddit, some KTOS, and IoT. Okay, let's take a look at IoT. And I'm going to look at it on the daily chart. Okay, IoT putting in a higher low, making a higher high, making another higher low. Probably coming right up to this pink line right here. All right. As you can see, look for this to re-challenge. See this base right here? Look for it to re-challenge that base up there at 36.06. Nice work there. I like to see that get there on the third day. 3 green candles. Hopefully you get 5 green candles. Since they gave you 5 red ones, maybe they can give you 5 green ones. All right. And get up there to that pink line, which is 38.55. And the high of this peak, I'd definitely like to see them either double top that or breach it. All right. So that's 35.57. Nice work on that one. That was a nice day, Robert, on IoT. And back on KTOS. Nice day as well. Don't know when you entered, but anytime. It closed at the high of the day at the end of the day. So that was great trade, no matter where you traded it, okay, whether it's the end of the day or the beginning of the day. That was a nice one. And the other one was Reddit, RDDT. Another nice day, nice green candle up there, breaking out over the base right here. See the pink line? So breaking out over the base. And definitely not an uptrend, but I can see an hourly uptrend right here. See the daylight? Like the bullish launch pad being built right here for a launch higher, as well as that last wick, that last tail at the end of the day. So nice work, Robert. Good luck with all of those. I hope you get success with those. Hope you get your targets. Yeah. Yeah. Reversals at the bottom for a comeback rally. I can see that. All right, that's it for me for today. I'll see you guys all tomorrow, okay? Just want to point out, yesterday and the day before, printed these at the beginning of the day. All right, so this was our trade today. We didn't quite get target 2 completely today, but we did get to target 1 and surpassed it. And then the day before was I'm having trouble with it. Well, the day before was 371.40, and we hit that. That was our target for the day before, and we managed to hit that target 1. We did not get target 2 yesterday either. So, all right, traders, that's it. I'll see you in the morning, 2 o'clock. Not 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and we'll open up the markets. All right? Thanks. Have a good evening.